else.
We will spotlight your swatches then.
I won't be able to find it quick enough.
Okay.
The transcription is horrendous.
I know.
Is
John,
it? Got it.
I think John is the only problem. The photo in the computer, man.
Okay, John.
Ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Is the only problem. The photo in the.
We're on.
Okay, John.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. Today we're going to go over the colors of Stella Canfield. And I just want to go over to Facebook real quick so I can see your comments over there. Just take a moment. So hello, Barbara. Hello, Lisa. And I'll put this one on mute. Hello, Barbara. Hello, Lisa. That should work. Okay. So if you're on Zoom, you can ask me questions as we go along. If you're on Facebook, I or Ethel will be reading. So on Facebook, Raffaele, Elisa is on both. Jane, Chili Beanie, Bren, hello everybody, hello Sue. So can you tell me what the question was about the Indanthrone blue? Was there a question about it?
Today, yesterday was what color Wednesday, and the color was indigo.
Was
And so-
indigo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the people didn't guess it because they try to guess that it was lamb black because it was the picture was too dark and too black. That's why they asked for some comparison between indigo and lamb black and maybe also some Indanthrone blue, because they don't find in the watch of round watch, they don't find the blue shade.
So lamp black would be the blackest black. It's not the darkest color, because remember, color is all about the photospectrophotometer and how much white it sees coming back. And the more you can opaque the white, the darker the color is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to show Stella Canfield's colors today, and she will be on tomorrow. I was pretty happy with myself. I was able to, because I'm I've never done this, but I think I printed this in reverse, and I believe on your screens, you should be able to read it now. So there's the colors. So it was neat to print it mirror image. You'll learn as you go along, I guess. So what I did is I did it in 3 different colors. Stella has 2 sets, which not reversed. So she has set 1. Set 1, we'll be looking at those colors. She has set 2, which are these colors. And then these also, many of these make up, these are her 18s right here, her 18 dot card.
We have her dot card and images of Stella's boxes up in our socials for reference.
So we'll be looking at these today. And then I brought some, if we have time, I just put together some colors I thought would be kind of interesting to see. They're not part of Stella, so I don't want to confuse anybody. But there's some neat yellows and some different tubes, and then some different sticks. So if we have time, we can look at as many of those as you want to look at.
John, the
Yes.
list of colors are on reverse for audience, so you may have to, just like before, you may have to, we're reading it on reverse. So flip it the other way around so that our audience can read it. Like that. Yes. Oops, it's still in reverse.
It should
Yeah,
be-
now it's flipped.
This is the mirror image right here. That's the mirror image. You should be able to see that through the camera. You should be able to read that cerulean. Can you read that? It says cerulean.
No, it's
No, we
upside down.
can't. It's upside down and backwards as though we were doing old-fashioned typesetting.
Oh. How about that
I
one?
can read it just
You
fine because I'm
overthought it, John.
dyslexic.
Okay.
That's all right.
I'm really dyslexic and I can read it just fine. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
If I, no, I can read it too if I look long enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought I was making it easier, not harder. Okay.
That's all right.
Because I went to
Carry
the-
on.
I held up to the mirror. You can read it perfectly in the mirror.
Right, but we're not mirrors.
That's true.
I'm mirroring you, John.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right. So anyway,
John, apparently we can read even the Stellas box. It's not mirroring. It's okay. You see a mirror, but it's actually back to front. It's okay.
okay. So we'll look at the colors today. They're really, I think as you'd expect from Stella and her painting style, they're actually really, many of them are really bright colors, very interesting colors. So let's go ahead and look at those. I just had them all laid out. So what I thought I would do is just go through all the tubes on my desk. So it'll be all the colors, won't necessarily be in order, but I'm going to show you all the colors. Because if I take hers out of the small box, I'm just going to confuse myself when it comes over to these. Okay, so all the colors are here. They're just
Okay.
a larger size. All right. And I did want to, I left one of my rhodonites out because I wanted it to dry. So it is solid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it open and we're going to see how it works as a big, huge pan, the shape of a tube. Because many people, end up throwing it away, and you don't have to throw it away. It just really becomes a really big pan. So I wanted to show you that. All right. So we're going to do Pyrrole Scarlet. Pyrrole Orange. Hands of yellow. Brown ochre, which is the geothite. Sap green. Green gold. And then I'll do the flow. Okay. Start with those. Silver brush. Okay, so the first one's going to be the Pyrrole Scarlet. We looked at all the pyrroles, the whole family of pyrroles. And they are very bright. As soon as I put two colors, it should.
We're also sharing to everyone in Zoom and Facebook a link to Stellas.card for reference.
Oh, fantastic.
Stellas.
So Reba has her birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Reba. And this is going to be the Pyrrole Orange. Pyrrole Scarlet, Pyrrole Orange. remember when we looked at the pyro red? The pyro red is kind of fire engine red. It's a very, very, very bright, intense red. That's not part of what Stella's chosen, but
Is the pyrrole red, sorry, John, have like a blue cast?
no, it doesn't.
So not a yellow cast? These both have yellow casts, right? To my eyes. I could look at my docs. That would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, they look very similar here on the screen. They don't look similar here in front of me.
Okay.
So both the pyrrole scarlet and the pyrrole orange are single pigments. The pyrrole orange is pigment orange number 73, and the pyrrole scarlet is pigment red 255. Both medium staining, both non-granulating, and both semi-transparent. Back to where you're at. You want me to mix this with some Chinese white or some, I brought some out so we could play with that. So the next one is Hansa Yellow Light. Lift that a little bit with my pyrrole. Hansa Yellow Light. So Reba, I can look to see if we have a triad with Bordeaux inside of it. I'd have to let you know that probably tomorrow or Thursday. So this is goethite. Goethite is brown ochre. So I looked, and I think there's four different dot cards with the German greenish. So I thought that was kind of an interesting color that we looked at.
Just posted. Let me see.
So it's a very popular color, the sap green.
Yellow, that's the yellow. Part 2. Pyrrole orange and pyrrole scarlet. And then yellow, there it is. Sometimes
So this is the green gold. Sap green. This is the green gold. See if you can tell me what this one is. So this is a very popular color. And it's a very popular color. Let me see if I can show you more of it. It's a granulating color. So you can see the granulation. It's a granulating color. Little
Is
hard.
it Moonglow or is that lunar violet?
You're exactly right. It's Moonglow.
Moonglow. Okay, thanks.
Yep. I was going to play a guessing game and you guessed it right off the bat. Yeah, it's Moonglow. So Moonglow is kind of interesting.
Pam, I'm sorry to have messed you up.
No. It's a guessing game. Very good. So it has that anthracoid red. So it has kind of that warm reddish to it, and it has the ultramarine blue and then the viridian. So it's 3 different pigments. I think Gabriel, you use Moonglow, don't you?
I do, and I just been using the Moonglow stick recently, and I'm loving it.
Awesome.
I've been trying some of Giovanni's techniques he did in his demo. I got some Moonglow going on here, and then another painting over there from the stick. And so, yeah, it's a good time for sure. I really like it mixed with serpentine and jadeite. Oh, it's so tasty.
Beautiful, Gabriel.
Well, next week I'm going to have my racks up. Right now I just have boxes of tubes. So that way I can reach around and when you say, oh, it looks really great with jadeite, I can pull it off the rack and have it instantly. Okay, so those are the ones we've gone over the Stellas so far. Pyrals. Pyrals are always quite beautiful, quite intense. Pyral scarlet, pyral orange, hands of yellow light. This is the goethite, ochre. This is our sap green. This is our green gold. And this is our Moonglow. So Nancy says, I don't have Moonglow. It is so versatile. It's a very popular color, the Moonglow. Hello, Aunt from Bangkok. And Rafi says, oh, also try green apatite. Green apatite is probably one of the most granulating colors. Lunar black is probably #1. And lunar black is always very unique in that it's a synthetic pigment, one pigment that granulates. And that's because of the particles are so small, they disassociate from each other. And then the green apatite, it's a primatech. And so it's the other things that make up that particular mineral have different weights and different sizes or different shapes, and therefore they move away from each other. Okay, you want to see any of these mixed? Or are there any of these that you want to see mixed? How about if we do some of the, since we have it anyway. Maybe the, what do we do?
Just The Pyro Scarlet and the Sap Green would be a nice mixture.
So that's the Pyro Scarlet with the Sap Green.
John, Gabriel had mentioned putting serpentine with Moonglow, but since you have the green gold right there, could you just show us what that would be with mixed with the Moonglow, just to see?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some more Moonglow down. So Moonglow with the green gold.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Yeah.
maybe it'll come close to what Gabriel achieved. I mean, those are two of my favorites. Serpentine, Moonglow.
And then we have two mixed requests from Facebook as well.
Okay.
This may be a new session, mixing requests.
It's kind of like calling in your music request, but it's your painting mixing request.
Nice.
It looks more serpentine.
It does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does. It does. Thank you.
Oh, yes, you're very welcome.
What would happen if you mix these colors with Chinese white, and how would you use that combination?
So I can do that. I can tell you in principle what would happen. Then one of the artists can answer that because they would have practical knowledge. If you take something which is transparent or semi-transparent, or you don't have to do opaque because opaque is already there, you're going to make it more opaque if you use either the titanium white or the Chinese white. And kind of it's your call which one to use. The Chinese is a little bit warmer. If you look at the C-Lab, very small. So it's really kind of your choice which one you would choose, but you would make it more opaque. So essentially you can make any of the watercolors like a gouache if you add one of the Chinese white or the titanium, because you're making it more opaque. So we can try that real quick if you like. Let's try it with the, so Chinese white's kind of tried and true, but I'm gonna use the titanium a little bit. And your choice is really yours. It's kind of either one you would want to use.
I think for myself, like I explain it to my students in my workshop, it's like maybe they're used to, a lot of people have done a lot of acrylics, maybe in high school or college. And so when I mix my Chinese white with one of my other watercolors, I'm kind of making maybe a tint. I know some people will be okay with putting a dab of white down at the end of a painting, but you can go a little step further and make a tint that maybe might be warmer or cooler instead of just putting just a bright white.
Very cool.
a lot of people will use just the Chinese white because it matches closer to the watercolor paper. But if you're doing it for painting purposes, you're calling it maybe possibly a tint.
Thank you. So try to show just the two. This is the Hansa yellow light, and this is the Hansa yellow light with titanium white. Focus. There we go. So you can kind of see the difference. This is actually brighter than this right here. This is more transparent. You can kind of see
Yeah.
and this over here on this side. Every time I move it, it wants to refocus. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yes. Well, Peg said, thank you for the technical explanation, Gabriel.
Yeah, no worries. I do this to really push my transparent areas in my painting where I'm tending to make somebody want to look more. But I don't definitely do a lot of opaque, huge pieces in my painting. But it's kind of like having if I had a dinner plate, I would have a little bit of everything on my plate because I wanted to have it on my palate and enjoy it in my mouth.
So Claudia says they become pastel colors if you add the white. So a while ago, probably, I don't know if we did it this year, we certainly did it last year. We used water to break down the color. For example, we did 5 drops, 10 drops, 15 drops to about equal amount of color out of the tube. And what you're doing when you do that is you're, when you add more water, you're allowing more white space to come through, and allowing more white space to come through makes it look like it's more pastel. Now you can do that to a point at which you can reverse the process that we do to put the color together. And at that point, you've gone too far. But the neat thing about, I think, art is it's really meant to be played and to be experimented with. And it's kind of good to push, it's kind of good, I think, to push the boundaries. At least you know, then you build up practical knowledge, which is kind of fun.
Giovanni was holding up a nice example.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Giovanni did some beautiful ones for me.
Yeah.
So that's the color with, and then with how many drops, you can see it becomes very kind of pastel looking. You can do it with almost any of the colors. Thank you, Giovanni.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, there's a blue. Ultramarine, no. French.
So I think today Ethel will have Stella's information listed. So if you wanted to go see her website and see, she does beautiful, beautiful full.
Melissa, can I call you back? Sorry, what?
I'm also sharing on in the chat, in Zoom and Facebook, one of our posts last year, I think it was last year, we actually posted images of the swatching for pastel colors. We'll paste the link in the chat.
Hello, Claudia. Hello, Besnick. Okay. So this is going to be Lunar Violet. And Stella has Hands of Yellow Medium. Before we were looking at Hands of Yellow Light. on my hands. It's going to be Carmen. It's a pretty color. Cerulean blue. Cobalt turquoise. French ultramarine. And cobalt violet deep. Quid gold, quid burnt orange, and gold. So Angela says to everybody, Queen Gold and Moonglow are also a fabulous mix.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so it's going to be Lunar Violet. And then as soon as I put two of them down, it'll start to focus. It just has to balance all this white out. So again, lunars are really, you can see that the granulation really granulates. So it's a pretty heavy granulator. This is Hansa Yellow Medium. Hansa Yellow Medium. And this is Carmen. Carmen. Cerulean blue. You can add some Chinese white. We'll add some Chinese white to the Carmen if you want. Again, if you want to see any of these mixed, we'll go ahead and we'll mix them as well.
What do you mix? Are you doing 50-50?
Oh, no, I just kind of play with it. I think
Okay.
just because I'm not painting. I think that'd be, maybe Anna, maybe Elisa, they could answer. Barbara, how do you do your mixing? Do you do 50-50 or just? I'm always amazed when I saw, or when I see, I think Stella will have it, when I did the in the artist studio with her, on the back side of a lot of the paper, she does color studies where she does the mixes before she ever paints. And I always think that's so interesting. It's not only listing all the colors, but then how do the colors interwork with each other. if you haven't watched that, I believe they're all on YouTube. It was kind of interesting because Stella, when you go to her, when I visited her in her studio, she had 2 sets of windows on opposite sides of her house. So because it's different light, different times of the day have different light. Michael in Toronto, he had on one side of his house natural light. On the other side of his studio, it was very specific type of lighting depending on what he was doing. And I always think that's neat to watch your studios and how you as an artist set them up around light. See behind Anna, she has some color studies, and Gabriel. It's really interesting. I think it's super interesting. So this is, it's PB29, and it's slightly more warm. Which color do you think it would be? So the pigment is PB29.
It's French ultramarine.
That is correct. It's French ultramarine.
While we're reviewing it, would you be possible to review the difference, just very briefly if possible, between French ultramarine and ultramarine?
Sure. They're exactly the same pigment. They're both PB29. And the difference is how light comes into them. So PB29. And in one, the particle's bigger, and that's French ultramarine blue, and smaller, which is ultramarine blue. So when light comes down and hits the smaller, it moves toward the green or the cool. When light comes down and hits the larger particle, the way it reflects back, the angle reflection, this one moves toward the warm or the red. So green or cool, warm or red. So the French ultramarine, slightly warmer, ultramarine, slightly cooler. So a color can be influenced by at least 3 things, many more things, but at least 3. It can be influenced by size, and we see that in the ultramarine or the French ultramarine. It can be influenced by chemistry, where the alpha and beta particles are on the molecule. For example, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-ring structure, this is going to be a quinacridone. And if it's PV19, that can be either the violet, the rose, or the red. They're all the same exact pigment. So it could be by size, it could be by chemistry. It's kind of really interesting. And the other difference is kind of what you do as an artist. Really, all when you're painting, you're manipulating light, which is the beautiful thing. Okay, and this one is cobalt violet deep. Cobalt violet deep. So Julia says, I spent almost a year where I only painted with secondary colors, and I used Quinn Deep Gold, Moonglow, and Undersea Green. It was a great deal of fun and a wonderful learning experience. Awesome. How about if we take the carmine, we let the carmine down with the Chinese white. So we'll do that. Let's do that. We'll do that over here. So I'll put some Chinese white.
mixing your colors, may I speak to your question earlier about mixing the water to paint ratio?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like depending on what you're working on, depends on how you mix it. So this is a in-process portrait. So here I have very, very delicate, nuanced shapes and colors. So here I have maybe just 1 to 5% pigment to water. And then here I have mid-tone values, and that will be a higher volume of pigment to the water that I mix together. And then at the very end, I'll put on the darkest layers, and that will be not quite neat. So I won't do 100% pigment, but I'll push the pigment as hard as I can. And the value of, so the yellow, the value is a smaller range in value. So you need to go thicker sooner, whereas the blues and the siennas, you can have it higher volume of water. So you don't just mix your volume of water always 50%. You're shifting it depending on the value of the pool of the wash that you're laying down.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. For me, I don't think anything beats actually having someone explain it and actually showing you something. It really ties, for me, it really ties home quickly. So thank you. So what I did is I took the Carmen, and here there's Chinese white, and I mixed it over here. So, I mean, you could, like Anna was saying, you could actually take this all the way from, I guess this would be called neat. It's pretty, it's kind of unadulterated. And you can kind of lay that down. See that. This camera over. There we go. So it's just red on the screen, but I can actually see the lightness from the titanium the more that I put in it. This camera is trying to correct. It does a really good job. I wish it wouldn't do a good job, but I can see it way more in here that the titanium is covering over, really making it more opaque by covering up this paper and what's coming back off of the reflection. So they used to do a lot of the gouache when they were doing newspapers, because they would be doing photographs, etc. Do any of you use gouache?
Not anymore.
No, because Daniel Smith doesn't make it.
That's right.
Not yet. So I didn't see any phthalos within. That'd be an interesting question for Stella. I don't see any phthalos. I think when we're talking to Angus was using some phthalos. They are pretty intense. So Carolyn says, yes, I sometimes use it as I try to reach my students with a variety of water-based mediums. We also often use ink. Gabriel, do you teach adults? When you say you have students, are your students adults? When you teach, do you teach adults or do you teach all ages?
Who is the question for?
So Caroline's a teacher and she teaches, I think, younger students or high school students. Do you teach adults or do you teach young people?
I'm currently teaching adults at this time. It's more of like a one-on-one. We actually go plein air painting. So we're in like different locations every time. It's quite fun. You get this little, Google map, pin sent to you and like, hey, we're painting here. God willing, the weather is good, but I mean, I'm in San Diego, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to try the cobalt blue, do the yellow ochre, quinacridone burnt orange, cobalt blue violet, and then we're going to do the rhodonite. And then I'm going to cut this tube that I dried out open. We're going to play with that next to the wet rhodonite. Okay. So let's look at the cobalt blue. As soon as I put the second color on, it'll focus. So let me put a second color on. Cobalt blue. And this one, it's another popular color. Yellow ochre. Quinacridone burnt orange is probably right there with quinacridone gold in popularity. The other one is the Aussie red gold.
I love that Aussie red gold.
Do you?
Yeah. You know why? Because it's just such a good shock of color.
It is.
And it's transparent and very clear. Not.
Yeah, it was David.
I don't know.
David Keller's favorite color, so we came out with it. He's out of Australia. Just a really awesome, not only an awesome person, awesome artist. Okay.
What do you paint with it, Barbara?
Well, it's in my landscapes. It could be in flowers. It's just a really interesting color. It's a very clear color. I mean, I come from the garment business, so, it's not like a dusty color. It's just like the green gold is very, very clear compared to the serpentine. I mean, and I'm not talking about the granulation. It's just the color. It seems, brighter.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're a doctor.
Yeah. I don't want to be a doctor that cuts his thumb off.
Oh, is the surgery performing now on this old pigment? Tube?
It's a tube I had dry out. They get asked this question a lot. What do I do if my tube dries out? And you can either drop by drop, you can unfold the crimp in the back and open it and put, you know, a drop or 2 drops of distilled water, the amount that you need to be able to take the paint off and do your painting. Or you can just treat it like a big pan, if that's what you want to do. I just wanted to, you definitely don't want to throw it away because it still has value.
Another form of stick, John.
Another form of stick, except the stick is the stick is certainly much easier to manipulate. So I want to show you the Moonglow. So we'll do the Moonglow. Here it is wet. It's a pretty color. It's a pretty mineral. It's a semi-precious mineral. It used to be a throwaway mineral because they were looking, the people who were mining it were mining for gold and didn't really care what other things were there. They got thrown to the side because they wanted gold. So now it's
wow,
been a big thing.
So pretty.
For the last 20 years, people going through the remnants of the diggings, the tailings, and finding really awesome minerals. Then there's the people now that go after minerals, and literally they will spend days, weeks, months, you know, getting a mineral this big and just try to keep it perfect because they just want the beauty of the mineral. So here we go. This is the rhodonite. Rhodonite. And now we'll just so you don't have to throw it away. You could always, I mean, if you wanted to, you could put drop by drop and you could re-wet the amount that you wanted to use, or you could use it like a big, huge pan the shape of a tube. So either way. Okay. But you don't have to get rid of it. The gum arabic allows it to be wetted out again. Can you see that? Yeah, you can wet out as much and to whatever degree you want to do it.
That looks like a jewel.
It is pretty, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
So Caroline says, I love rhodonite. It's becoming my go-to pink. Anna Marie says, I always open the crimp at the back. This allows for cleaner access. Yes, absolutely. And less mess. So absolutely. You kind of really don't want to do what I did. I just wanted to show you that, you know, it's, so you could actually open the back crimp. Just be careful in opening. You could open it up and then spread it apart and you could go from the back. Cool. Okay. So tomorrow, so Anna Marie, watercolor focused on transparency, gouache is all opaque. You know, both are considered water-based media. According to traditional British watercolor tradition, they would not even consider opaque watercolors to be watercolors. The American tradition is not so constrained. Yeah, there's all different types of, I mean, there's the Transparent Watercolor Society. Sometimes when there's all different types, which is kind of a beautiful thing. You know, you can kind of pick which way you want to go. Tomorrow will be Stella. Stella does beautiful paintings. She does boats and ships and florals. Very, very knowledgeable. So if you have questions, she can certainly answer many. You might want to go to her site first. That way you can ask her about her colors, why she chooses the colors that she chooses. She does have the 6 color sets. You can ask her about those. If you want to ask her about this painting right here, I have this one. I thought it was just beautiful. So I bought it for our catalog when we had a catalog to put on the catalog. Kind of similar to what we're doing here on Friday. We really want to showcase artists around the world can see them. I did the same thing when I had my catalog. I would put the artist on the front with their painting and talk about them so people could meet them. I think it's artist is really about getting the message about the artist out. So kind of neat. Okay, so with that, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. For those of you that were at my birthday yesterday, thank you. That was a surprise to see so many of you there. And I think tomorrow will be a good day. Stella's excellent answering questions. I think right now she's in Greece or might still be in Greece.
She's back home.
No, she's at home.
Oh, she's at home. Okay.
Yeah.
She's at home. That's nice. Did you see my Diaz Chinese white kick out my wash white? No, I didn't see it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.